guys, so today we are going to be crocheting one of these little cherry blossoms. So they're super quick, super easy to make. They use 3 colours, so I'm using 2 shades of pink and a red. I'm using a 3mm crochet hook, a darning needle and a pair of scissors. You will be using the needle to stitch these bits in the middle, so this is something that you will need. But apart from that, these are pretty straightforward. So hopefully this is a cute, fun little sort of springtime make that you can enjoy. We're going to begin our cherry blossom in the centre, which is this dark pink that I've got here. And the first thing we're going to make is a magic circle. And we're using a magic circle because we want to make the centre nice and tight. We don't want a big hole. And we can use the magic circle to tighten it. So to make a magic circle, what you're going to do is take your 3 fingers on your left hand and lay the tail of your yarn across them. You're then going to place your thumb on the yarn and use that to hold everything in place, hold this piece of yarn. I'm going to take the yarn and wrap it around the back of my hand, wrap those 3 fingers, and then I'm going to bring it back up and across the yarn, making a cross shape. I'm then going to take my pinky and I'm going to hold the 2 pieces of yarn, so the top piece attached to the ball and the tail, and I'm going to use my pinky and my thumb to hold those in place. I'm going to flip my hand over and you'll see I've got 2 vertical lines on the back of my hand. So I'm going to take my hook and push it under the first one. I'm going to catch the second one and I'm going to pull it under the first and twist my hook. This creates a little loop on your hook, and you're then going to catch that that second line, so this bit that's coming off at an angle here. You're going to catch that with your hook and pull it through the loop on your hook. And that makes our magic circle. So if you pull on that tail, you'll see it will tighten, and that is exactly what we want to make it nice and tight. So to begin, I'm going to single crochet 10 into this circle that we've just made. To do that, I'm going to pop my hook in to the circle, into this big loop. I'm going to catch the yarn and put it through the loop only. That leaves 2 loops on our hook now. So then I'm going to catch the yarn and pull through both loops on the hook at the same time. And that makes 1 single crochet. So I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to take my hook and pop it into our magic circle. I'm going to catch the yarn, pull it through the circle. This makes 2 loops on our hook. We're then going to catch the yarn again and yarn through both loops on the hook at the same time. So now we have 2 single crochets. I'm going to repeat this 8 more times until I have 10 in total. Okay, so that is my 10 single crochets. It should look something like this. And to tighten this up and to turn it into our tight little centre, we're going to take our tail and we're going to pull it. And that should tighten everything up nicely. And you can see we've got our tight little centre. So to finish off this bit, we're going to take our hook and we're going to pop it into that first single crochet stitch we did, which is a bit tight, but there we go. And then we're going to catch the yarn and put it through the single crochet to do a slip stitch. So we're now going to take that first loop on our hook and pull it under the second, and that is our slip stitch. So you can now pull your yarn up like that with the hook to make a loop, bring in our scissors and snip a tail. You're then going to pull that tail through the loop to make a knot. And I'm just going to tug on my magic circle tail again just to tighten everything up. And that is the centre of our cherry blossom. So now that we have our centre of our flower, we can begin working on the petals. That means bringing in our light pink. And I'm going to start this by making a slip knot. I will leave a link to a video for how to make a slip knot for beginners up in the corner of this video, which you can very quickly click on if you need to. But we're going to make a slip knot, which we're going to be popping our hook into, but not quite yet. So I'll just pop that to the side for a second and bring in my centre. So what I'm going to be doing is making a petal in one stitch and then slip stitching into the next. Then we're going to do another petal and then another slip stitch, and that's going to make 5 petals in total when we do that the whole way round. So I'm going to pop my hook into one of the single crochets. I'm then going to take my slip knot and pop it onto my hook and pull on the tail to tighten it up. Once you've done that, you can pull that loop so that it's ready to crochet. Pull it through the single crochet. And I'm just going to start here by chaining 2. To chain, we're going to do that action we were doing with the single crochet where we catch the yarn and we pull it through the loop on the hook. So that's 1 chain. And that's a 2nd chain. We're now going to do a triple crochet. Now I should mention actually that I am using US terminology in this video, so if you were using UK terminology, this would be a double triple and the single crochets would have been a double. But I preferred US terminology, so that's what I'm going to use here. So I'm going to make a triple by wrapping my yarn around my hook and then doing it again. So I've got 2 wraps of yarn around my hook. I'm then going to take my hook and pop it into that same single crochet stitch that I just did my chains into, and then I'm going to catch the yarn and pull it through the single crochet stitch, which will make 4 loops on your hook. You're then going to catch the yarn, pull it through the first 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again, pull through the second 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over one more time and pull through the last remaining 2 loops on your hook, which is why it's called a triple. 3 parts, it's a triple. Hopefully that makes some sense. So into that same stitch again, that same single crochet, we're now going to do a US double crochet. So that means we're going to wrap the yarn around our hook, just the once this time, and then we're going to pop our hook into that same single crochet stitch, catch the yarn, pull it through. This makes 3 loops on our hook. We're then going to catch the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, and then catch the yarn again and pull through the second 2 loops on the hook. And that is our first petal. So we're now going to be moving along to our first slip stitch. And one thing that I am doing as I work around is I'm carrying this tail with me. So this piece of yarn that's connected to my light pink, I'm holding it with my finger to the back. And as I crochet, I'm making sure I crochet over that piece of yarn. So that's going to hold it in place, and it means I've got less tying in to do at the end, which if you're looking to make lots of these is going to be very, very helpful. So slip stitching over that, we are going to pop our hook into the next single crochet, catch the yarn, pull it through. That leaves us with 2 loops on the hook, and then we're going to take that first loop and pull it through the second loop on the hook. We're now going to begin working into our next single crochet stitch. And again, carrying that tail along with me. So we're going to start with a double crochet, wrapping our yarn around the hook, popping our hook into the single crochet, catch the yarn, pull it through the stitch so you've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops on your hook. We're then going to do a triple crochet again, so that's 2 wraps of yarn on your hook. Pop the hook into the same single crochet stitch you just did the double into, catch the yarn, pull it through the single crochet, so we've got 4 loops on our hook. We're then going to catch the yarn, pull it through the first 2 loops on the hook, catch the yarn again, pull through the second 2 loops on the hook, and then catch the yarn one more time and pull through the last loops on the hook. We're then going to do a double crochet into that same stitch, so the stitch we just did here. We're going to catch the yarn, pop it into the stitch, into the single crochet, catch the yarn, pull it through to make 3 loops on our hook, then catch the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, catch the yarn again, pull through the second 2 loops on the hook. So hopefully now you're kind of starting getting into the rhythm of how this works. A petal is made up of a double crochet, a triple crochet and a double crochet. We are now going to slip stitch into that next single crochet. And then we're going to do 1 double, 1 triple and 1 double into the next single crochet. Slip stitch into the next single crochet. Then we're going to do 1 double, 1 triple and 1 more double into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next single crochet. And then we're going to do 1 double, 1 triple and 1 double into the next stitch for our last petal. We are then going to slip stitch into our last stitch . And we have all 5 petals completed. So what I'm going to do now is fix these in place by flipping over our flower, so you're working into the back. And I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to push it into the back of the triple of this first petal. So you've got the chains here and then you've got the triple here, and you can see there's these 2 big loops. I'm going to poke my hook in there and do a slip stitch. And what that does is just pull everything together so it's nice and tight and there's no gaps. So now we can do that same thing we did with the centre, where we pull up a loop with our hook, snip off a tail, and then pull that tail through the loop. And that is our petals complete. What I like to do now before I move on with the stitching, so this red centre that we've got on our flower, I like to flip my work over and tie in my ends, because this bit's kind of the worst bit, isn't it? It's the bit we all dread. So I'm going to give everything a tug to make sure everything's as tight as possible. Centre. And I don't need to tie in my petals here because I carried that with me. But for the others, I'm going to take my darning needle, thread the yarn, and I'm going to push everything through like so, and that just kind of holds things in place. So that hopefully nothing falls apart. There we go. So if you wanted, you could stop there. There's no need to do the pink, but I do just think it's a nice little touch. It gives it a bit more detail and makes it a bit more distinctive as a cherry blossom. I'm going to take my red yarn and I'm going to pull out a length, maybe about 20 centimetres long. You want it to be long enough to work with, you don't want to be struggling. And I'm going to snip that off. I'm then going to make a knot in the end of my yarn that I've just cut. And I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm going to thread my yarn through so that I'm holding it like so, and I'm going to pick up my flower. So we've got 5 stitches on our flower and each one points towards a petal. I'm going to begin by taking my needle and coming up through the back. I wouldn't pull too hard here because you don't want to pull the knot through the centre. And then we're going to come down at this point under the petal. It should feel like there are some natural holes that you can go through, but if not, just have a little poke around and see where you can feel. You can see we're working into this single crochet stitch under where we did the double, triple, double. There's a hole there and we can kind of poke our needle in, so we come up through the back and down through the centre. And we do that for all 5 petals. And there we have our centre. So now we just need to fix this in place, so we can turn our flower over and then picking a stitch we can come through the back like so with our needle, and then you just want to bring that yarn through the loop that you've made to make a little knot. And I'm going to do that one more time to hold our knot in place. And then poke our tail under our yarn, secure it in place, make sure nothing comes unravelled, and we can snip that off, and there we have our tiny little cherry blossom. I think these are a great little make if you're stitching something onto maybe a hat or a bag or a jumper and you just want to brighten things up for spring.